So I'm in Kashgar, and Kashgar is one of the primary stops, or was one of the primary stops on the Silk Road centuries ago. The Silk Road is really shouldn't be called the Silk Road, but even in Chinese it's called Siqiu, which means literally Silk Road. But it was only called this when a foreigner wrote about this several decades ago and called it the Silk Road. But really, it was a network of paths, and it wasn't a single road, and they weren't paved. It wasn't like kind of what we think today of as a road, and it was also not primarily transporting silk. You could get silk. Certainly, silk moved on the road, but the most important thing that was moved on this road was paper. Paper had been used as a wrapping, not. Paper had been used as a wrapping, not as something to write on, and it was here because paper was expensive, but here they would write on things like bamboo or bones, and then as paper became more readily available, it became used as something to write on. So this was really kind of the most important thing that was transported on the road. And it wasn't even called the Silk Road back then. Then it was called like the road to the next nearest city, depending on whether you're going east or west. And so from here west, it would have been the road to Samarkand. And from Samarkand, it would have been the road to Kashgar, coming here in this direction. And the people here are not, they're not ethnically Chinese. And so when I got out of the taxi, the guy didn't even understand me when I said, hey, I want to go to this hotel. And they do have this old part of the town, but otherwise there's no cars. And so and so the guy spoke to me, and he actually didn't speak to me. I spoke to him, and he doesn't understand a word I said, and he's looking at me kind of like with a blank face, like, oh my, like I don't want to try to talk to this guy. He just looked like he was totally clueless. And so then he got on the phone. I gave him the phone number to my hotel, and he got on the phone and he called the hotel, and he said to the hotel manager, the Laoban, he says, I got this foreigner in my car, and he's speaking to me, but I don't have any idea what he's saying. But I know he wants to go to a hotel. What is the address of your hotel? I can understand him, but he can't understand me. And so he dropped me off, and he says, hey, wait here. Somebody's going to come pick you up. And the grammar he's using in that sentence was Uyghur, which is his first language. And even when he's speaking Chinese, he's got a very heavy accent. So you've seen a few people here that are Uyghur that look like me, but only a few. I've seen, I think, actually one that could look exactly like me. I mean, basically white. Otherwise, they look like kind of Central Asians. So, and I was sitting in a coffee shop yesterday, and this lady and husband were sitting there next to me at the same table, and I said, "Are you Uyghur?" I laughed and I said, "No." And they said, "Why is your Chinese so good? And how many years have you lived here?" And so, first of all, my Chinese is not good. It's clearly not good. But my pronunciation is okay. And so, with good pronunciation, people will think that you speak more Chinese than you actually do. So anyway, I said they're from Inner Mongolia. But then a local guy asked me, "Am I from Afghanistan?" And he's a local Uyghur. So you can see that's kind of the cultural lack of exposure between the two groups. Anyway, if you come to like kind of you should come to Central Asia. You should come to Kashgar. It's super pretty, and the market. I mean, they're just like really ancient, really kind of a cool place to be. And you can walk into these bazaars. And actually, bazaar is a word that comes from the Uyghur language, and the Chinese use the word bazaar. Normally, a market like supermarket would be chao shi, supermarket, or a night market would be ya shi. But they don't say the word shi for market here. They say baja or something, baja. In English, we don't say market. When you go to the Sunday market at home, you don't say, I'm going to the bazaar. When you think about a bazaar, you're thinking specifically of something like this. So it's a word that is borrowed from a lot of different languages. This word bazaar, probably this language also is getting it from some other language. But bazaar is the word that a lot of places use. You can see a lot of different, it's just these winding, and these are like kind of the main street. Then you turn on some back alleys like this one directly here in front of me. You can get lost in here.